Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Hmm.
This time, we're doing something a little different. We're diving into a single source, a YouTube video transcript.
Interesting.
And I gotta say, just looking this thing over, it is dense. It is absolutely packed with names, lyrical jabs, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's complicated.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack. So basically what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be untangling a rap song and figuring out just how it fits into this larger online conflict that's been brewing.
It's like we're
Or is it-
digital detectives trying to
Yeah.
decode a message.
Exactly. And honestly, my first impression of these lyrics, intense.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a verbal boxing match, like just full of aggression and insults.
I see.
So what does that tell you right off the bat?
Well, I think this definitely falls into the category of a diss track,
Right.
which has a really rich history in hip-hop culture.
Oh, absolutely.
It's how artists challenge each other, they settle scores, and even build up their reputation.
Oh, I see.
It's a form of creative competition.
Right.
But online, these feuds can explode.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about how that evolved, from rap battles to the digital age.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm curious, though, about all these names that are being thrown around in this transcript.
Okay.
Tricky Ticky Tim,
Mm.
Mr. Jacksonville Joe,
Okay.
Turbo Pack Timmy. Are these real people or are these online personas?
It's really hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
The online world, especially, in these kind of subcultures, thrives on anonymity and pseudonyms.
Right.
It adds a layer of mystery, and it makes it so much harder to separate fact from fiction.
Oh, totally.
I mean, it's one of the things that makes these online battles so intriguing.
Absolutely. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but you're missing half the pieces.
Yeah.
Speaking of puzzles, there's this one line that really jumped out at me.
Okay.
Build a wall with letters hide and seek, with ABCs trying to hide from the big bad wolf-like sheep.
Wow.
What's your take on that?
That's powerful imagery. It suggests that the creator feels threatened. Like they're using words as both a weapon and a shield.
Right. Yeah.
It really makes you think, if you were in their shoes, how would you use language to kind of navigate this battleground?
That's such a good point. And then there's this other line,
Mm-hmm.
mute, dumb, puke, scum, filthy animals. Whoa.
Quite a statement.
Is this kind of extreme language
Yeah.
typical for a diss track?
I think absolutely. Diss tracks are known for their over-the-top rhetoric and exaggeration. It's all about pushing boundaries and provoking a reaction.
So not meant to be taken literally.
No, it's performance.
Okay.
The goal is to get under your opponent's skin.
Like verbal performance art, almost.
Yeah. Okay.
But then there's a line that seems much more grounded in the reality of YouTube,
Oh, cool.
where they say, I'm not Mr. Beast, so I won't promise you a crusty cookie for a subscription. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's where we start to see this layer of self-awareness about the YouTube ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
They're calling out the trend of creators who incentivize subscriptions with giveaways,
Right.
while simultaneously positioning themselves as different, perhaps more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah. Do you think this strategy resonates with viewers? Will people buy that?
I think it makes you think about, the motivations
Yeah.
behind following someone online.
Right.
Are you there for the free stuff, or are you there for the content in the community?
Exactly. And speaking of community, at the very end of this transcript, the creator calls on their viewers to subscribe and join a better YouTube community.
Interesting.
What does that tell us about their goals?
Well, it seems like this creator is aiming to build a community
Okay.
around shared values.
Mm-hmm.
They want people to subscribe, not just for the entertainment,
Right.
but for a sense of belonging.
So it's more than just a diss track. It's
Yeah.
a statement about what they want their corner of YouTube to be.
Yeah. Now, before we go any further,
Mhm.
there's a couple things in the lyrics that I'm just not quite following.
Okay.
Like, what does it mean when they say they defended an RSO and popped a couple C shots?
Those are really interesting lines
Yeah.
because they hint at a backstory that we're not getting from just these lyrics.
Right.
RSO could refer to a registered student organization,
Okay.
which suggests that maybe this feud started in like a college setting.
Oh, interesting.
And C-shots could refer to copyright strikes,
oh,
which are a common tactic used on YouTube to take down content.
right.
But without more context, it's all speculation.
It's like we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly.
There's this whole world of drama happening beneath the surface.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen anything like this before in other online feuds?
Definitely. Online feuds often involve a lot of veiled references,
Uh-huh.
inside jokes that really only make sense to people who've been following along closely.
So you really got to be in the know. Yeah, it's like a soap opera with missing episodes.
Oh, that's a perfect way to describe it. And this isn't just harmless entertainment, though, is it?
Oh, no, no, no.
I mean, these conflicts can have real-world consequences.
Absolutely. Reputations can be damaged,
Mhm.
relationships can be strained, and in some cases, things can even escalate to legal action.
Wow.
It's easy to forget that there are real people
Right.
behind these online personas.
That's a really good point. It's important to remember the human element.
Mhm.
But I also want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about
I
like
try.
the creator's self-awareness.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. It's not just about that Mr. Beast line.
Right.
Throughout the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
the creator seems to have a deep understanding of how the YouTube game works.
Okay.
They're aware of audience expectations, influencer culture, even the power of a well-crafted diss track.
Now that you mention it,
Yeah.
even the way they use humor feels strategic.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they compare their rivals to sheep, or they talk about their response video being halfway finished.
Right.
It's funny.
It is. It's a brilliant touch.
Yeah.
The humor lightens the mood, makes the creator seem more relatable and less like they're taking themselves too seriously.
And that probably makes the message more effective.
Yeah,
Like if you're laughing along with someone, you're more likely to be open to what they have to say.
absolutely.
So we've got this complex mix of aggression, humor, strategic understanding of the online world.
Yeah.
What do you think all of this tells us about the nature of online conflict?
I think it highlights just how intricate these online battles can be.
Yeah.
There are often layers upon layers of context and meaning,
Right.
which makes it so difficult to fully grasp the situation from the outside.
Right.
What stands out to you as a key takeaway?
Honestly, I'm struck by the fact that this diss track is so much more than just a rant.
Mm-hmm.
It's a carefully crafted message
Right.
with a clear goal to build a very specific kind of community.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think about the power of these online platforms
Absolutely.
to shape communities and to influence people.
And it raises some interesting questions about the roles these platforms play in our lives.
Okay.
Are they spaces for genuine connection and community building?
Right.
Or are they just echo chambers for conflict and division?
Those are great questions.
It's a tough one.
And it seems like there's no easy answer.
It's a debate that will probably keep going,
Mm.
as these platforms evolve.
Right.
But for this creator, it seems pretty clear.
Mm.
They're using this diss track as a way to rally like-minded individuals.
Yeah, to potentially change the whole dynamic of the community they're
Right.
a part of.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how this one song can act as a catalyst for something so much bigger.
Absolutely. It speaks to the power of creative expression,
Mm-hmm.
even in the middle of all this conflict.
Yeah.
It reminds us that art can be such a powerful tool for shaping these online spaces.
This has been such an insightful dive into a world I honestly knew very little about.
Really.
Yeah, so for those listening who are just as unfamiliar with this corner of the internet as I am,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one thing you'd want them to take away from this deep dive?
I think the key takeaway here is that online conflict is rarely black and white.
Okay.
It's complex, it's nuanced, and often it's driven by a desire for connection and community.
Right.
Even in a diss track,
Yeah.
filled with aggressive language, we see a creator trying to shape their world
Mm-hmm.
and find their tribe.
It's a good reminder that behind every screen name,
Yeah.
every heated comment thread,
Mm-hmm.
there are real people
Real people.
with real emotions and real motivations.
Absolutely.
Well said. Thank you so much for shedding light on this topic.
Of course.
It's definitely made me think differently about the online world and the dynamics at play.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some newer insights into the world of online conflict and the power of creative expression. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.